Very good morning, students, and welcome to the first lecture of civics. In civics, as just like history, in civics also, we are going to follow the same strategy. I'm going to give you some revision questions after the end of the video lecture, and you are going to find out the answers to it. And then we will move on with the teaching and the revision questions and answers simultaneously. In the end of the chapter, I'll provide you with the PDF of the exercise notes of your chapter. So students, how's life going on in this lockdown? Getting very bored, missing school, right? Early times you used to be very happy. You wanted holidays, and now I don't think for a year or two you will ask for any more holidays from now onwards. Alright children. So today we are coming to the first chapter of civics, that is working of the constitution. So children, civics is a subject which is very interesting and which is related to our everyday life. Whatever we do in our routine life, in our everyday life, that subject, that activities and the importance, the significance of those activities with respect to the national development is what we learn in this subject, which is called as civics. Although from the name it seems similarly boring like history, but don't worry. This civics, I promise you, civics is going to be the most interesting subject of your life now onwards. So let's get going. Chapter 1, Working of the Constitution. Now, what does this word constitution means? Long word once again, but very simple. It is nothing. It is a book. Very simple. This constitution is nothing but a book. A book containing all answers to the question. Which question? This is a book which is containing all the answers to the question. To which question? How should the country run? Or how should a particular country run? This question is having various aspects. There can't be one single answer to this question, right? Because when we run a country, there is not only one single point of view from which we have to run a country. Just take an example of your family, of your parents. You have, imagine there are 4 members in your house, your parents, your sibling and yourself. Now for running a house, for running a family also, there are so many different aspects. Your father, the head of the family, has to work hard a lot, has to think about every different aspect of family life. He has to manage his finances accordingly. He has to see about your education. He has to look after the security of the family. He has to look after the health care of your family, your mother, your sibling, yourself. He has to take care of each and every aspect of his family. So children, just imagine taking care of a family is so difficult. Then when we talk about a country, and especially when we talk about a country like India where 130 crore people are residing, then see, it is such a tedious task to run such a huge country, and that too a democracy. So this question, how should the country run? This question is having different aspects, like for example 2-3 aspects I have mentioned here on the board. Structure of the government. How will be the structure of the government? If you are running a particular country, what will be the government like? Then another aspect is offices are under the government. Which offices will be under the government? What will be the structure of the government? How many organs will be there of the government? And what areas will the organs take care of? So there are many questions. In this question, in this single questions, there are infinite number of questions hidden, to which all the answers are provided in this book called as Constitution. Great, na children? It sounds so great that this one book has the answers to so many number of questions. And yes, this book is also written by the great leaders and the scholarly people of a nation. So, when we talk about the Indian Constitution especially, see children, Indian Constitution is recognized as the lengthiest constitution of the world. Lengthiest, you understand? That means longest constitution. We have every single thing written in the constitution. That means every aspect of how a country should run is written crystal clear in our constitution. So it is a thing to be very proud of, right? Then, I will tell you most important 5 words on which the working of the country depends. Especially when we talk about India, The constitution has given this 5 adjectives to your country. How is your country? How will you describe India? What kind of, yes, of course, we call it a democracy, but still, plainly saying democracy doesn't give you a clear idea of what a country is like. So, when these 5 words, these are the 5 words that describe your nation. These are the 5 words. First one is sovereign, second one is socialist, third one is secular, fourth one is democratic, and fifth one is republic. Very important 5 words. You can make a catchphrase over here. You can remember this. S3DR. You can remember it like this. S3DR. Alright. So what do you mean by sovereign? Sovereign means, children, a country who is not having any kind of binding by any other country of the world. Maybe developed, maybe undeveloped. Alright. A country who is, you can say, अपनी मर्जी की मालिक जो country होती है उसे हम कहते हैं sovereign country. Very simple. No need to go in more complications. Clear? Then second one is socialist. Now very very important word, children. See children, our country has adopted the concept of welfare state. अब ये welfare state क्या होता है? Social welfare, making it more simple, we will say social welfare. Social welfare मतलब welfare or benefit of the society as a whole, not only of a particular class of a society, but that of the society as a whole. So a country which thinks about the society as a whole and the development, the wholesome development of every member of the society, that kind of country is called as a socialist country. A country who keeps social welfare at the base of whatever functions it performs. Alright, next part is secular. Very simple word. Secular means very simple, children. Religion and government. Two things, that means politics and religions, will never interfere in each other's work. Religion अपने काम से काम रखेगा और politics अपने काम से काम रखेगा. So government will not interfere in any religious matters, neither any religion will interfere in the matters of the state or in the matters of the government. This is called as secularism. Politics, or you can say government of the country has a different sphere and religion of the country has a different sphere. They have their own working areas and they can't interfere in each other's work. This is called as secular nation. In very simple terms, we can say that the government cannot force any person to follow a particular religion. Rather, if anybody wants to get converted from one religion to another, everything is allowed in our country once you cross the age of 18 years. That means you have the freedom of choosing any religion what you want, of getting converted from one religion to another, or if you don't want to follow any religion at all, that option is also there. So, treating every religion with equal respect is what we call as a secular country. Next, democratic. Now democratic, you know very well. Democracy, we all know the definition, the finest and the easiest definition of democracy: government of the people, for the people and by the people. Yes, we have by-hearted it since childhood. Alright, so wherever people themselves rule their country or their elected representatives rule the country, it is called as a democratic country. That means it is not a monarchy, neither a dictatorship. Monarchy matlab a country where there is a rule of a king, and dictatorship means a country where there is a rule of a dictator. Now again one question comes over here. What is the difference between a king and a dictator? What is the difference? Very important and very simple difference. Okay. Now for example, a king is a king because of whom? Because of whom? Because of he being born or she being born into a royal family. Right? Because it is the tradition of his or her family that they are the royal family, and the people from their family, especially when we talk about India, the male members of the family go on the throne one by one. They succeed each other. So because a king is a king because his father was a king, his grandfather was a king. So he gets the power in heredity. Understood? But when we talk about a dictator, A dictator, the best example of dictator, everybody knows? Yes, Adolf Hitler. So, a dictator doesn't get his power from his family or from the people or from anywhere else. A dictator is a person who forcefully grabs the power and rules a country. अंडरस्टूड? किंग को जो पावर मिलती है वो अपने खानदान से मिलती है और डिक्टेटर जो होता है वो छीन के पावर लेता है. वेरी क्लियर? एंड वी डोंट लिव आइदर इन अ डिक्टेटरशिप नॉट इन अ monarchy, rather we live in a democracy. Very clear? Next part, republic. Very simple. Wherever a country is ruled by the person who is elected by the people, who is chosen by the people, that country is called as republic. So 5 words, very important. Catchphrase that you are going to remember is S3DR, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Alright, now moving on, children. This chapter is divided into 3 sections. First section is democracy, which we are going to do today in this lecture. Second section is social justice, and third section is role of judiciary. However, from these 3 sections, the second and the third section we are going to do in our upcoming lectures, and today we are just going to focus on the first section, that is democracy. Again, definition is written on the board: government of, for and by the people. You all know very well. Now children, democracies also are of 2 types, right? Direct democracy, indirect democracy. Now what is all this? Don't worry, it's very simple. See, democracy, direct and indirect. A direct democracy. Alright, suppose you are a family of 4. Again, we'll come back to the same example. You are a family of 4. Any decision in your family is taken by all of you sitting in a particular place, maybe on the dining table during your lunch or dinner, and you take whatever important decisions. You all vote for a decision. Alright, so every vote is important in the decision of your family. This is called as direct democracy. Very simple. A country where each and every citizen participates in decision making is called as direct democracy. Now just imagine, children, India, a country of 130 crores. 8 people can't stay together in a joint family in India. है ना? People keep on fighting, people keep on quarreling. Do you think that when 10 people also will come in a place, see, every day you watch those debates, heated debates on the TV channels, especially news channels. Alright, so 4 people there, 4 people, hardly 4 people are there in a debate. They also can't discuss an issue without making any kind of commotion. They also shout and yell and speak what nonsense God knows. Alright, so from this we are very clear that 130 crore people coming in one single place and participating in decision making is almost impossible. Almost what? Completely impossible. So now I can give you a hint over here. Just think a bit, in which countries direct democracies will take place or direct democracy will be practiced. In which kind of countries? Just think. Give a little, prick your mind a little. Yes, that's correct. In countries with less population. Obviously, wherever there will be less population, people can come together and take a decision. So, the example of such a country is Switzerland. Switzerland, children, is a direct democracy where the whole population is participating in decision making. There is a referendum kind of a concept where the vote of each and every citizen is taken before taking a decision. But the population of Switzerland is 85.7 lakhs and the population of India is 135.26 crores according to the latest data. Now, you just calculate, whenever you get time you calculate that how much percentage is Switzerland's population as compared to India's population. The percentage is only 0.6%, children. Not even 1%. Understood? That is why Switzerland can be a direct democracy and India can't be a direct democracy at all. So then what we do in India? We elect our representatives, right? Just like your director of your school, he cannot take a meeting of all the students in one go, right? So whatever decision he has to take, what is he going to do? He will ask the teacher to have a conversation with the class and take the views or take the opinions of the students, and then your class teacher will become a representative of your class, and with your opinions your class teacher will proceed to your director. And likewise, all the class teachers of all the classes will represent their respective classes, and the director will conduct a meeting with all the class teachers who are your representatives. And this is how a final decision will be taken. So simple. Rather than taking a decision with such a lot of example, for example, there are thousand students in your school, 1,000 students in your school. So taking a meeting of 1,000 students and taking a meeting of 25 teachers, what is more convenient, children? Obviously the later one. So the same kind of representative kind of framework is carried out in our democracy. So we call India an indirect democracy, or you can also call it representative democracy. Very clear? Now, whatever decisions are to be taken, they are taken by the representatives. Now, how is your class teacher given the class teachership of your class? Of course, it is the decision of the management. The management takes the decision. But when we talk about the representatives with respect to a democracy, the decision is not of any person who is sitting up. The person is of the people who are at the ground level. How? By the right to vote. You will vote your representative. You will give vote in every elections. See children, in a democracy, the very base on which a democracy resides is the system of elections, and that too after regular intervals. So elections are conducted after regular intervals and all the people are given right to vote. That is our next topic also, right to vote. In India, everybody is given universal adult franchise. Did not understood. I'll make you understand, don't worry. Universal means which is applicable for everybody, everybody. Kala, Gora, koi bhi.